What's up, everybody? So there's a lot of scammers out there, a lot of people trying to take your hard-earned money, and I think that we, the consumer, have the right to fight back against that. But generally, it's out of our hands. We can't really control it. When someone is trying to take advantage of us by sending us emails, trying to get our information or whatnot, you can email them back, they don't care. So we're stuck without any real recourse when we're trying to get ripped off. I'll tell you a story that happened today. My wife has her wedding dress for sale on Craigslist. We were going to sell it, and it's been on there for a while. Somebody emailed today and said, "I'm interested in your dress. Can you send me a phone number so I can text you?" So I sent him my wife's email and her phone number, and the person texted back, and they were texting back and forth, asking questions, saying, "I'd like to see pictures of the front and back, and this and that my seamstress will be up to pick it up." Right then I got kind of suspicious. Then my wife comes out, and she's like, "What do you think this is all about?" And it said that they want her name and address so they can send a cashier's check, a certified cashier's check. I said, "It's a scam." Instantly my instinct kicked in. I'm like, yeah, anytime they talk checks, it's a scam. Generally, especially if they talk about cashier's checks. And so she sent back a message that said, "Sorry, cash only." No reply, of course. And even some of the most legitimate sounding people can bring in something like that. Once you say check, this is why cash is so important in our society. But I emailed the person back and I said, "So what happened? I said, "Are you still interested in the dress, or did your scam not work out?" And it reminded me of about 10 years ago when the internet scams were really grabbing hold, and the whole Nigerian thing where people would send out all the emails saying that you got to claim this inheritance and everything. I read up on it, so I knew what was going on, and early into it I was aware, and I'm glad I was, because the first time I got an email about 15 years ago, I think, and the person said, "So and so, that you have these funds to," or what was it? A person that needed help, and they claimed that they needed my assistance. Everybody's heard of these scams by now, but 15 years ago, it wasn't really popular yet. So I ended up emailing this guy back and forth, saying, "Oh man, I'm really sorry. That really sucks," But so what I did was, I think I only sent a couple emails before the check thing came into play, and I instantly backed out. I was so bothered by it, I thought, well, I'm going to go to this phishing website. It's a place you can go to enter your email address. You set up an email account just for phishing for these guys, the scammers. And then when you put it on that site, they spread it out to all the scammers, and you're phishing for phishers, basically. So as soon as you do that, you'll get a whole bunch of emails from people saying that they want to be your friend, they want you, here's your money, here's your Nigerian funds and everything. And so I started playing with these guys. I'd get them on there and I'd bait them, and I'd play the sucker. And it was kind of a waste of time. I didn't really do it that much, but I might have spent a couple hours typing out messages to a couple different people over and over until I really had them convinced I was suckered into it. And I had them mail the checks. There was a time when I had a bunch of cashier's checks at my house, because I would let them send me their checks with their notes because I wanted them to waste their stamp. So I ended up getting these scammers to waste their money and their time sending me something. And I thought, maybe that's a waste of my time, but you know what? That's taking away from their time, where they could be scamming someone else too. So maybe I'm keeping someone else from being scammed, who knows, but at the very least, I'm distracting people who are out to take your money. Now, it reminds me of this Manly Hall lecture that I love Manly Hall, but there's one thing he'd always talk about. There's one particular thing he said that really got to me. He said, it's an old quote, I can't remember who said it, but an honest man can never be cheated. And I took that to heart. And he explained it very eloquently and said that, people who are always trying to get one over on another, or always trying to get a deal, those are the ones most likely to get ripped off. Yeah. And when people talk about how they've been cheated or ripped off in a deal, quite often that deal will be too good to be true. Now, this isn't always the case, and that's why I brought it up. Because my example with the dresses, we're not trying to get anything over on anybody. We're just trying to get what it's worth. So I'm not trying to really get a deal. But it's different when you're buying something and you buy something, say, that's fake. Say somebody's trying to sell you a concert ticket that you know is $500 and they're selling it to you for $200. And then you get there and it's a fake ticket. I mean, of course it's a fake ticket, you know. You have to consider all the angles. And it's the same with, you know, when I was 16 years old, went down to Portland to buy some acid. And saw this guy, there's this dude cruising along, he's like, yo man, hey, you guys want to buy some weed? And I was like, I'm not really there to buy weed. So I was like, no, not really. So he's like, come on, come check it out. So he got us to get on this bus, and this is how he did his scam. He gets on the TriMet bus, and he's like, it's an eighth. It's like $40. And he flashes it to me kind of by the seat. He's like, gotta keep it low. And then I looked at it, and I was like, that ain't no eighth. And he's like $20. So right there, he cut it in half. And I was like, no, that's cool. He's like, $15. So I bought it for $15. Got home. I put it in my pocket, and we finished our trip and went home on the bus. Never even looked at it, because we were joking the whole way home, knowing it was fake. We knew we got ripped off. We just wanted the guy away from us. We opened it up, it was Yellow Pages. All the old school stoners know about this. It's, if you take Yellow Pages and you roll them up, they look like weed. I mean, it's a dead ringer for a lot of the older weed. Of course, pot these days is a little better, but then it's a lot harder to pull that shit off on people. But people are still falling for it. It's funny. It's funny. It looks really similar to pot. But anyway, I took it as kind of a, you know, realization that, you know, anytime we expect to get something, you know, it's going to be what it's going to be. I've had people. Sometimes you can get a really good deal though. You know, I did get a concert ticket when I went to get my Modest Mouse tickets. I went down there, they were sold out, and I couldn't find anybody. Called a dude on Craigslist. There were only a few hard tickets sold, and all the rest of them were credit card entry. So you had to have your credit card. Called a guy up, and he was selling them for everybody was selling them for $150 each. I told him I'd give him $150 for 2 of them, and he said, okay, I just want to get this over with. I bought them, and I'm thinking, I could have just got ripped off. But I weren't. They were real, you know, I got a deal. So you can get a deal. You just have to be able to trust the person and understand what's going on. And, you know, I hate seeing people get ripped off. Often people get ripped off because they feel bad for people, a person who really says they need help. And here's one of the biggest scams, or the ones that the story you might have heard about in the 90s where they followed that homeless guy, you know, and he walked down the street after he left the corner of the road, and he got in a Mercedes and he went home. Lived in a huge house. And there's a lot of people out there. This is a rare exception. But there are a lot of people out there who take advantage of people by dressing like bums and going out and begging for change. Makes it hard to know who's true. Just like you don't know who's really trying to give you a good deal or who's trying to scam you. So I think it just takes a little bit of wisdom, but also a little bit of common sense, if there is such a thing, to, you know, see what's going on and say, okay, this person's, I'm trying to get something that I don't deserve, you know. Stocks and bonds, or stocks, sorry, not bonds, but stocks, to me are exactly that. It's trying to get something that you haven't earned, but through the building of someone else's company. And when people make money in stocks, they claim they earned it quite often, and when people lose it, they complain because they lost all their money in the stock market, they got robbed, they got cheated, or, you know, that's an obvious personal decision and choice to make that. But, you know, whenever we take a risk and it works in our benefit, sometimes we're always like, yeah, it's worth it. And when it's not, you know, the world's out to get us. And so I just keep it in the middle, you know. I'm willing to pay more to make sure that what I get sometimes is what it should be, you know. So anyway, salute to all y'all.